join me halfway through my session in the middle of Cardiff city centre at the mother of all carp fishing experiences from an urban environment perspective. This is the Wharf Syndicate. I'm halfway through my session I've just explained, but unfortunately things are not going to plan. We're supposed to be in the spring, we've got water temperatures of 12 degrees and the carp are just not reading the script here whatsoever. They're down the other end on a freezing cold easterly wind and I've got no choice but to get up and get moving and get on them. So that's what I'm going to do now. The barrel's packed, we're still early doors. As I said, we've got a couple of nights still ahead in there. Fingers crossed we can get a carp or two. As I said previously before, we've moved. The reason why we've moved is simply there's absolutely no carp on me whatsoever. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. If they were down there, they would have been shown in abundance and I would have absolutely had one, there's not a shadow of a doubt. So I'm moving down to a place that we call Beer Garden. Really good area in the spring. We're not quite in spring yet though, so for the guys who've been out through the winter and that, if you take the water temperature here, it's still 12 degrees. It was 12 degrees in February, which is really frustrating because this time last year, bizarrely they spawned here, so the water temperature was ultimately 21, 22 degrees. We're weeks and weeks and weeks behind still, so yesterday it was quite clear that they were right down at the bottom end of the lake. Bit shallower there, but as you can see the sun's starting to come up here now and they absolutely crave it in the spring, but I didn't expect them to get down there on an easterly wind. How wrong was I? Just goes to show on certain lakes, you know, the reel book gets ripped up completely, but I don't think they're going to stay down there. So this area of the lake is literally halfway. Good holding area for them, and I think over the next 36 hours we've got a really good chance here. I do think they'll creep up here. Minimal bits of bait, we'll talk about bait a little bit more and what I'm using. But yeah, I think I've got much more of a chance down here than I would if I'd stayed. You've got to move, simple as that. That's the one, mate. That's the one. It's much harder. One, two, three, four, five. Oh man. Okay, so a bit of an explanation about the dock. The majority of the lake is extremely silty and deep. We're talking like 18, 20 foot right the way through, and it's very, very, very snaggy. One of the things that they don't allow on here is leaders and barbless hook krill for obvious reasons. I mean, some of the snags on here are absolutely horrendous, so you got to really think about what you're doing and be careful as well at the same time for fish safety. It's simple as that. But when you've got a couple of days, it's really worth taking the time to have a good lead about, feel the lead down and try and find some really decent areas. And what I mean by that is some shallow areas or firmer areas. You probably see me counting the lead down there then, and I found a really, really good shallow area that I've never noticed before, to be honest with you, when I fish this swim. So I'm glad I've taken the time this morning to do it, and I think I'm probably going from like 18 to 22 foot holes out there to probably 6-7 foot on a really, really soft area. Now with this sun coming up, that screams to me to get a rig on it, because obviously those shallow areas, the carp want the warmer water, they crave the sun, and yeah, that's a really good spot. Quite a big spot as well, so I'm going to put a couple of rods and fish it on the bottom. Hopefully we can stay away from the bream, because there's a lot of bream in here and I've caught many of them. But that looks a good spot, so I'm going to persevere with that. Not quite sure how many wraps it is, so I'm going to wrap up very shortly and show you how we do things over here when we wrap up as well. Whip. Dink. Oh, oh. That's the one. Right on the money. Oh, God. Oh, that's the one. Lovely out there. Lovely. So that's the third rod out. And I'm very happy. I've got to say, 36 hours in, I'm a lot more happy than I was when we first started. I'm a bit disappointed really, because where I did first start, really thought I would have had one, but that's carp fishing for you. You know, you can only catch what's in front of you, and if you're not catching them, you've got to move. It feels a bit colder down here, I've got to say, but the wind swung now south-southeasterly, so ultimately them fish what we were talking about, what we were seeing this morning, they will push off, but I don't think they'll get right the way down where I initially was. So where I am here is the centre of the lake, and I do think naturally over this afternoon, this afternoon I think they'll migrate down here, and this evening we might even start seeing them showing out here and be able to get some footage of them. So I'm really happy. I'm not going to touch these now. I've got hardened hook baits on, 20 millers. I've tipped them with 12mm hit and run pop-ups and squid and octopus fluoro pop-ups. That's just to give me a bit of a chance while I'm fishing on the bottom to stay away from the bream. There is a lot of bream in here, and they do love getting on your bottom baits, that's for sure. So snowman rigs, try and deter away from them. I'm not going to spawn. I'm actually going to spread boilie out, big boilies as well. Not going to go mad, fish for a bite. Yeah, fingers crossed as the evening rolls in and the night turns to night, we might stand a chance. I'm pretty confident, I've got to say. So let's go back 12 months. I've been with Dynamite now for coming up to 10 years, and throughout those 10 years there is only 2 baits that I've ever really used, and that is Monster Tiger Knot and the red ammo. The main reason for this is I campaign on waters, and what I mean by that is I stay on them for long periods of time, and for me, especially when you're boilie fishing, I like to use a food source that I can establish that will ultimately work for 12 months of the year. And not all fish meals do that, or I've always had it made that they don't do that anyway. So last year I put my usual Monster Tiger order in, arrived by courier, I'm opening all the boxes, and within the box is this bag. It probably had about 2 kilo in it, and I'm thinking, I've never seen that before, it don't look right to me. And I tell you, I opened the bag, and the smell I got took me back like 20 years. This aroma of crab and chili instantly hit my nostrils, and I was like, whoa, that is absolutely amazing. I started to look further at the bait, and it looked like Monster Tiger. It was very pale in colour, but as I said, at that time I didn't know what it was. Nothing had ever been mentioned, and when I reflect now 12 months on, if the guys at the factory had contacted me and said, Mike, we've got a test bait, do you fancy giving it a go? It's a fish meal kind of bait. I would have instantly said no. So first of all, I thank them for just sending it me, and sort of like twisting my arm really with it. But that morning I was actually coming over here to the Wharf, so I took it over with me. It was spring like this now, but the water was obviously completely different. It was much warmer, fish were active. But without going into too much detail, in that session I ended up having 6 fish on that bait, and they were absolutely crapping it out, and I was hooked instantly on it. I literally, I remember having the fish and I'm messaging Dave at the factory and saying, roll me another batch up please, and they did, and it came quite quickly. And I went on to have a season last year that I don't think I would have had if I'd used that bait, and that's a bold statement that for someone who doesn't use fish meals before, but they absolutely could not get enough of it in here. We got to the autumn, and I really started to concentrate on one area of the lake further down, deep water. Did a lot of homework, caught a lot of bream in the summer and got punished, but it was all about the long-term effort on here, and I ended up having some of the most sought-after fish in the lake on this bait. I had the Brexit mirror, a couple of the original Dintons, and every fish I caught was absolutely crapping the bait out everywhere. And as I said, for a fish meal, it's really light in colour, so as soon as it hits the water it looks washed out. It's very, very soft, and I can't recall a bait that's got that smell of crab for, like I said, for such a long time. It's a real old school bait, and I'm very old school in my angling, as you've seen. I still use my stick mixes. I don't follow the trends. I'm confident in what I do, and I'm a big believer in if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Same with baits, but this has really opened my eyes to A, what fish meals can do, but B, you can't beat old school classics, and that's what that bait is. It's a real old school classic. So if you're into that kind of thing, this bait will tick all your boxes, I can assure you, and the fish absolutely love it. I actually carried on catching up until the end of November. The water temperatures were getting like 12-13 degrees, which is when I started off in the spring as well. So for those people who say fish meals don't ultimately work in cold water, this does. And we find ourselves here today now with water temperatures of 12 degrees, and I'm absolutely certain if the fish get on us, I'll catch them on it, no problem at all. Today's gone quite quickly actually, and although the wind swung round to a southeasterly, it's been quite cold. The sun's been out, it's been glorious. Not much to say really, they haven't started to show yet, but I think it was about 6-7 o'clock yesterday down this end. They were putting on a phenomenal display, and I've got a feeling it'll be repeat later. I've got it in my bones. I just really think that's going to happen. So I've not recasted, I've not done nothing. Everything went down sweet as a nut. There's no point in just bringing them in for the sake of it and recasting. You're just causing disturbance and ultimately scaring any fish that, that might be in the area away. That's what I believe. The lines are super slack, and I think I've got a really good chance. My fate's now in the fish turning up and getting on the bait, as simple as. So, fingers crossed. Come on, pay me a visit. I've moved again. I've had no choice really. The wind swung round last night and I should have had one. Don't know why, that's carp fishing for you, but at the end of the day I always go with my gut, and I feel if I stay where I am, I don't think I'm going to be on the fish at all. The wind really did change last night, so it went from an easterly, and as I explained previously, they did get on that bizarrely, but it went south-southeasterly, so ultimately the complete opposite side of the lake the wind was blowing, and they moved in abundance. Last night there was a lot of fish showing down this area, and it's actually going to stay like this now for the next 24 hours, so from experience I feel like they'll hold down here and they won't move. So you've got to go to them. You can't catch what you've not got in front of you. I'm a firm believer of that. So as hard as it is, and it is hard, I've had to pack up this morning on bite time, get down here, get the trap set in order to give me a chance for tomorrow morning. And maybe I'll get one this afternoon, but I don't think that'll happen. I think it'll be the early hours, 4-5 o'clock. We'll see, but I've got 24 hours to pull this out the bag. This has not been easy. Really testing for me personally, physically, but I'm not giving up. There's absolutely no chance. So yeah, last chance. There it is, 29 pounds, 14 ounce of pure urban carp fishing madness. Oh, I had to work so hard for this one. 4 nights in total for me. I've moved 3 times to get on them, but it just goes to show you simply can't catch, you know, what you've got in front of you. And it's all well and good, especially in the spring hoping that they're going to come to you, but that's not the case. You've got to make the effort, get on them, and, you know, give yourself a fighting chance. But oh, I'm so over the moon. This one was caught on a krill and crab rafter, tipped with a tiny little bit of corn, probably about 1.5 kilos altogether. But yeah, it's a bait that I've, like I said, I've done so well on here, and long may it continue for the rest of 2023. Mwah. That's the session. We're literally just considered packing up because the rain has come in a bit earlier than we anticipated, and yeah, my right hand rod's gone. I was quite confident about it, to be honest with you. The pressure's dropping now, but like the one did this morning, there's an horrific snag out there, and this straight away took me into it. But just walking down, not flapping, just taking my time, it's come out of it. So I'm just going to concentrate now, and the reason why that is there's a lot of snags in this water, and they know where every nook and cranny is. So never mind weed and getting stuck in weed, these snags are horrendous. You know, this dock was dug in 1833, I want to say, and then they backfilled it with over 1,000 tonne of sand once it stopped being a working dock. But ultimately, these apartments and a lot from the shipping days is still in here, and yeah, you just don't know what you're going to get snagged onto. I've got Dave to help me. One good thing about this place, as Dave will say, the camaraderie on here is fantastic. We've always got lads walking around, there's always people trying to help you, and everyone wants to see you doing well. No animosity, no bad vibes. We all just want to help each other and see everyone doing well. It's like a mirror. There we go, Dave. Nice one, and that looks like another old original as well. Oh my god. Oh. That's a good one. Happy days. Thank you, man. Thank you. Mate. Yeah, it's one of the old Harrow originals, that. Look at the scars on this one, man. This is a proper warrior. Second one of the morning. This is definitely one of the original Harrows that were put into the lake. God knows when, to be honest with you. There's so many different strains in here that have found their way over the bridge into South Wales. And again, what makes this place so unique, because you just don't know what's going to pick your hook bait up. But when they look like this, weight's irrelevant. Probably mid-20, I'm not going to weigh it, it's too old. The key thing is to just get them back. Patch them up with some treatment, we get them back. But yeah, the bait working its wonders again, absolutely blown away. Just goes to show, move and reap the rewards. And I'm going home very, very happy indeed. Thank you. Go on, there you go. Oh, what a morning! Just how things can turn around so quickly in your angling, and to think if I hadn't moved, you're going home a bit disappointed. So, as I keep saying, if you're not on them, for God's sake, move and get on them. Happy days. Yes! Yes! well, all good things must come to an end, and that's a wrap. Had an absolute brilliant time. It's been far from easy, and I go back to what I was saying before. You've got to move, you know. You simply cannot catch what isn't in front of you, but it's all come good in the end. I'm so happy. Key points: it's spring. Those winds are savage and can be absolutely brutal and freezing, but they get on them. So don't necessarily think or listen to what other people are saying. Read the water and follow your gut instincts, just like I've had to do on this session. You know, 3 moves, but it's all come good in the end. 2 originals. I can't ask for anything better than that. I've had a wonderful time. It's a great time of year to start using a new bait, in particular fish meals. The water temperature has actually come up to 13 degrees since we've been here. So we're just round the corner now for some of the best fishing opportunities that you can possibly have within the calendar year. Get yourselves out there and enjoy your fishing.